get up and make it happen.
We found the Titanic. Come on, get on your feet. Whatever. Jerk. Who? Hashtag Rachel Zegler on Truthtanic.
It's my Roman Empire. The Titanic is
Yes.
my Roman Empire.
This is a White Star Line prepaid call from
Iceberg, right ahead!
It's been over 100 years since the Titanic sunk into the North Atlantic Ocean.
It's a pretty open and shut case. The ship hit an iceberg, case closed.
But what aren't they telling us? What if two comedians tried to solve what really happened?
This is Truthtanic.
Ahoy!
Welcome back to Truthtanic.
This is the comedy podcast where we aim to uncover what really happened the night the Titanic sunk.
Was there an iceberg or was it maybe a bird?
We're leaning towards bird.
We've got new evidence. It was maybe
Just
kidding. It's a comedy podcast.
So that's kind of what a joke is.
Yeah, it's what you can expect from us in this podcast.
My name is Carley.
My name is Blair.
And this is episode
6.
It's episode 6.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's episode 6. And tonight we're going over today.
Whenever you're listening to it this morning
on your morning commute with your little cafe de lait, you can listen to us talk about the discovery of the wreck of the Titanic.
So spoiler alert.
They find it.
It's sunk and they find it.
They find the wreck of the Titanic. We're going to go over the early expeditions to find the Titanic before they found it. We're going to go over the actual discovery of the wreck. And then we're going to go over different things that have happened since then that we found interesting. And
we might read a little bit
about.
from this Exploring the Titanic book by Robert D. Ballard. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel where we post the full videos, we have the book Exploring the Titanic and we've had it behind us every single shoot. It's a book for children about the Titanic. And we might read a couple passages today if we feel so inclined.
Yeah, this book, a little lore, I've had this since I was a little child. I bought it at a scholastic book fair. If you know, you know.
Oh my God.
And it's by Robert D. Ballard, who was the discoverer of the wreck of the Titanic.
Good for him.
Good for him.
God, the vibes.
He's kind of the king of this episode, I think.
I think so. I think he's a king. He's a queen.
A king, a queen, an explorer.
A jester flop.
A jester flop. But yeah, he rocks.
God, you kind of unearthing the vibe of the scholastic book fair in my mind. The warmth that just filled my heart.
I love that thing so much. And like, I feel like at the time I was always like, man, this is so expensive. And now I'm just like, I would go in there with my little adult paycheck and just clean the place out.
Exactly. Like,
you know what I mean?
It is kind of like, I feel like a cringe millennial kind of like, you know, people are like, I'm an introvert and all that. Like there's a kind of person that really co-ops, and maybe I shouldn't say this because I am in a reading space online, but there is a type of person online who really co-ops like introvert and bookworm identity and makes it their whole thing.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like you can find a tweet somewhere that's like, where is the scholastic book fair for adults? I don't want to drink at a bar.
It's the bookstore.
Exactly.
It's the library. God, I hate when people pick something out. They're just like, where's this for adults? It's like, it exists. Though I do the same thing whenever I'm in like a Sears. Just kidding, Sears does not exist. But like when I'm in a department store and you go by like the children's, like the girls' like dresses, like the little fancy dresses for babies. I was like, why don't they make this in my size? It's like they do.
Look for it.
There's an industry based around that. Like what is the like those Sofie dresses or whatever?
Yes,
you know, the ones with the big like
they're
puff
cute
sleeves.
Yes.
I would never wear one because I'd probably drown or something.
I know.
Like,
I
no.
don't need to be wearing anything that makes me look more like a little girl.
I know.
I can't introduce that into the plot.
I know. I was saying to Carly and I share a trait in common, which is that like we're both just like one bad like frilly t-shirt away from looking like a haunted doll.
Yes, a turtleneck and a weird hair day, and it's haunted doll central for us.
Yes. I do think that you're a bit more like haunted like doll, and I'm a bit more like murder doll.
Yes, I think that's very true. I think I think we both look like haunted dolls.
Yes.
Let's get that out of the way.
Done.
But I do think I give kind of like Victorian doll the energy where it's like, I'm like giving Annabelle. You know, like one of those, not glass, but yeah, kind of like a glass doll, a porcelain doll with like
your face has a crack in it.
Exactly. And I've got like a really big eye that's like kind of stuck or whatever. Like I do really feel, maybe I should be Annabelle for Halloween.
That'd be an amazing costume.
It's actually pretty good. I was going to be Neil Old and Reese is going to be Neil Young.
Shut up.
But I do think that.
Now there's Annabelle.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I always dress as something kind of hard to guess, and then I get so mad when people don't guess it, so I have to do something that people can guess. I famously, what am I talking about? But for Halloween, I believe it was 2019, yes, I went as Andy Warhol.
Incredible.
And I wore like a black turtleneck
you
and
do
sunglasses.
Kind of look like him.
Yeah, and I had like a white wig. And people kept being like, oh, are you Steve Jobs? Because I was wearing a black turtleneck.
No.
And I was like, and I got so mad because I was really drunk. And I was like, oh yes, the famous Steve Jobs with his blonde wig and sunglasses. Like, it was so offensive to me that people didn't, obviously, like, I didn't really look like Andy Warhol because I don't look like Andy Warhol.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't.
But people
still,
have no imagination.
Well, that's exactly
imagination.
it. That was also the best side of my life because my friend Chris, he was in town and we were walking to a Halloween party and he just like went to like a party city right before because he didn't have a costume.
Yeah.
And he got big pink round kind of glasses and a plastic top hat.
Oh, incredible.
And I was like, you look like Elton John. Like, he looks like Elton John. And he hated, we were walking and I kept being like, you're Elton John. And he hated it. And then the wind blew his plastic hat off his head into the road and it got hit by a car and shattered into a million pieces. And there's nothing funnier than the image of a hat shattering in the street.
Like, hats don't shatter.
That's why it's so funny.
Yeah.
On the heels of you being like, you look like fucking Elton John.
I feel like I always phone in my Halloween costumes. And then every year I'm like, I shouldn't have phoned in my Halloween costume. Yeah. But then I forget. Like, I remember this one year in university, I was a tonic, and I was just a cat and carried around tonic water.
Oh,
like, no. What the hell was that?
Just be a cat.
I know. I was like, man, that was nothing. And I like, my friends used to have this, like, they'd live in this like mansion that used to be owned by Sir John A. Macdonald. It was terrifying.
That was crazy.
And it was always like, the parties there were always just haunted because there were ghosts. There were ghosts in the mansion.
A lot of the
really
mansions
scary.
that my university comedy group went to. And
horrifying sentence.
I know. And I want to say, like,
there's a mansion. My improv troupe frequented.
No, I know. Because there are some people that I met in university comedy that I love dearly. Like, there's like, I can think of like, there's these two guys who I met and they're still around doing comedy now. And like, those are I love them. They're so nice.
Okay.
Everyone else is a fucking menace who should be in prison. And I will say that right now because one of them, they're all friends with this one guy who got ran out of Toronto for rape. He called me a cunt to my face. And now he's back in town and they're like, it's like nothing happened. And they all lived in a mansion called the Mint Mansion. We have a couple friends in comedy who like were in the troupe a couple years before and they used to live in the Mint Mansion. The Mint Mansion used to be owned by a Nazi. And there was a room in the basement that just was a drain on the floor and then 5 different doors leading into it, basically. And the reason it was so cheap is because when they found out a Nazi lived there, I think he went to prison for something. I gotta look him up for being a Nazi. Yeah, neo-Nazi bunker for sale represents dark era of Toronto history.
But is it cheap?
By the Toronto Star.
Awesome. That's horrifying.
It's listed for nearly 1.7 million.
A steal.
Nearly 25 years ago, it was home to Canada's neo-Nazi movement.
25 years ago?
Notorious
so not even that long ago.
Yeah, they lived here. Notorious Holocaust and Ernst Sundel, I'll say his name, put him on blast. He lived there from 1975 until the early 2000s.
What?
Yeah, and his followers called it the bunker. So yeah, that was where like it was called the Mint Mansion now, and they all like rented this. They didn't like rent it because it was a neo-Nazi bunker, but like they rented it because some landlord bought it, presumably, and like rented it out.
Oh my god!
And they lived there, like and they found out later that like it was a neo-Nazi bunker.
Okay, hate that.
I know,
hate that a lot.
I know, and horrible vibes.
Yeah,
horrible vibes. There's nothing has healed my soul more than not being in a university comedy troupe. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I don't think you should do it.
I was on the university improv team, and I did have a blast.
This was sketch and stand-up.
Yeah, I feel like doing sketch at a university level is never good.
No, it was so much of me fighting for my life to explain that loud wasn't always funny.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I was the queen of comedy, but I remember like I ran the auditions the second year I was on the troupe, and they sent us like the auditions from the year prior to show us like how they scored it. So I got to see my audition, and I came in second to truly nicest guy in the world, but the king of not like loud is funny and playing a woman is peak humor.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remember like reading that and just like seething, being like, I was at this point like in Second City Conservatory,
killing it.
Like a lot
Leading
of
the
people that
game.
we know auditioned for that troupe and never got in, and they're all women.
That's crazy.
And the only reason I got in is because like I feel like we have, in addition to both having haunted doll genes, there's like an ability to be in a room with the guys and
know.
play along. I don't do it anymore, but you know what I mean? You can really
can
play
do it.
along with the guys if you need to
Yeah.
play along with the guys. I mean, I'm wearing my Carhartt overalls today
You
because
really
I'm just
are,
one
you,
of the
you have,
guys.
like, you're having a Carhartt era, I've realized.
Yes.
So you've got I feel like you have a second pair of Carhartt overalls.
No, this is the same one that
It's
you
the
saw
same
me
one?
wear. Yeah.
I'm just stupid.
Yeah.
So I can't. I don't have object permanence.
No, I was
figure
wearing a
everything only
different thing
appears up
under it.
once.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, when I got on my improv team in university, I was one of like I think 3 girls at the time, and it was like I remember when I left in my last year, I was co-captain, and when I left, like my big thing, I was like, it took us this long to get to the point where like half the team was women, half the team was men.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, we've really done our job. And then the team dissolved.
Yeah.
It was like a pandemic thing or
I
something.
think it dissolved. My troupe dissolved a couple of years later too, just because
Yeah.
it's a lot of work to like run a comedy collective at school.
Yes.
Like it's too much work.
That's what's great about improv and stand-up is that like you don't have to do any organizing really.
Yeah, you can just show up. That's
can
the
just
thing.
show
And like
up,
my school was in
whatever.
Toronto too, so it's like you could just also go to shows. Like I was
Yeah, which
doing
is
shows
really
when I
nice.
was doing that, which was partially why I had the worst attitude in the world. Because I was like, I had a lot of things and I think I've done a really good job. Like I think I was really humbled in 2019. I got like truly rejected from everything I ever did for a whole year, which I think everyone should go through. You should go through a year of rejection.
Yes.
Because it makes you normal.
I had that in 2017, I think.
It
where was,
makes
like-
you a
or
regular
2016.
person. Like you just are like
Yeah.
every single thing. It's the first time in your life after being like a wonderkind or whatever, where you realize that you're normal. You can just do it. It's okay.
I don't want to do it into the mic.
It's like when we went to see that comedy show and you opened that fucking Coke can.
Oh yeah, that was we saw. I'll tell the story.
Yeah, the only thing is we went to see a fringe show that our friends were in, and when the lights, Blair brought her own can of Coke, which you're not allowed to do. Let's say that.
No one needs to know they sell the same Coke at the venue. There's
Yeah.
only one type of
And the
Diet
lights
Coke.
went down, and Blair was like, "I'm going to open the can as soon as the lights go down." But they opened the can, the lights went down, and they started doing the land acknowledgement. And then Blair opened the can so loud in the middle of the landing. So they're like, "We would like to address that we are on the land of the Anishinaabe," and it was like.
And honestly, it made everyone laugh. Everyone had a good time.
Well, I guess what I was saying is you go through an era of rejection and you come out the other side with a better attitude because you're humbled and you're regular. It makes you normal.
I think
so
that,
like
like,
when I
it's-
was
yeah.
in university comedy, I like thought I deserved so much more respect. As if like it's nothing. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's like who cares? Truly. And I had like such a chip on my shoulder at like 19 being like, I just deserve my break. Like, why won't anybody give me my shot? And now I'm like, you're not a victim for not being on TV, Carley. Like, get a grip. People are dying. Like, there's a war
Yeah.
going on. And I think you get rejected enough and you're just like, oh, I'm not the most talented person in the world. And also talent doesn't equal, you're not owed success because of
Yeah,
talent
you're not
or
owed
hard
anything.
work or whatever.
You're also like something that I've come to terms with recently is that you're not owed a timeline. And we've talked about this a lot.
So real.
Where it's just like a lot of things happen like in weird orders or out of orders or really, really fast or with large breaks. And it's like, you know what? I feel like people like to tell you that like you go to school for like 4 years, you have like a year of like roughing it and then things start to happen and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it just doesn't work like that. And if it does, you'll probably go crazy.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you hear those
fun.
stories, it's always smoothed over because your brain also is just going to forget the tough stuff. It's like childbirth, whatever, with your career.
Yeah.
Like you forget how hard things are so you can continue to move on. But it's so true when it rains, it pours. And I think in almost any industry, like perseverance is the most valuable thing you can have. Like
Yeah.
just being like, I had like truly like an awful summer, like just a bad summer because I was also depressed. But on top of that, it was just like a lot of like being strung along in career stuff as it always is. And it's like, we were talking about this before we started recording, like sometimes like a break is okay. Like you just I was like,
Yeah.
I'm down, like truly stop kicking me like bestie. I am down. I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground. I'm tapping out. Stop. And then you just like, you just invest in yourself. I'm reading, and this is so pretentious, but I read it in the pandemic and I didn't really get it, but I'm reading Letters to a Young Poet. I'm reading Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Marie Rilke. And he's a poet, and it's a collection of letters he wrote to a younger poet giving advice. Mm-hmm. And the thing he says, it's like, if you're searching, you sent me your poems and you asked if they were good. And that's like, immediately they're bad, because that's what you're asking. Like, you're searching for like acceptances from magazines and people to tell you they're good, when what you really need to be doing is going inwards and engaging with like the things that you want to say and do. And I think that pain and those bad moments of like a lot of rejection always come from like when your external things are saying like no. And then when you recover like from those big like beat downs of your career, then you're just on your vibe of like, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Who cares? And then stuff happens. It's a cycle. And then when stuff happens, you seek the external validation that you get from doing the stuff that you found you could do when you looked inside yourself. Yeah. So, and then when you seek that external validation, then you get beat down again. Mm-hmm. And then the cycle continues. And that's like what life is. And that's okay. But when you're in those moments where you're like, please stop.
Yes. It's like,
it's like, it's awful. It's awful.
It's awful. And then and you have like one thing happen and you're like, succeeding.
Because that's the thing.
Your friends always succeed when you're down.
Your friends always book it, and that you find out because they booked it. Yeah. When you're there and you're like, great. No,
that's
great.
So cool. That's so cool.
I'm so happy this is like, I got rejected for like a bunch of shit, like 3 things on my birthday. And I found out about all of them when I was out of the house getting ready to do a show.
Oh my God.
And it was rap battles, and it was me and Reese were doing like, it's like a comedy show where you basically, it's like those epic rap battles of history basically.
Yeah, it's like comedy rapping.
It's a comedy rapping thing, and you do different characters. And we were the town crier versus washer dryer. So I was like a town crier, and I was like, I just need to go to the bathroom and like center myself in my fucking town crier outfit, being like, oh no, it's gonna, like, I Tanya, like, you know, in that scene in I Tanya when she's got her makeup on and she's like she's sobbing and then she smiles. It's like me in the comedy bar bathroom dressed as a town crier, like, okay, let's go.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
And pushing through. No, but you're so right. Like, it's all a cycle. And then like the thing I've realized is that like it's kind of, and this is not my original metaphor, but it's kind of like a circle going upwards a lot of the time, where it's like you kind of like, you are on one level and then like you eventually get to the next level, and then you go through the same problems again.
And you go up again.
And then you look back on your lower level and be like when I didn't get into the Second City Conservatory the first time, I lied in bed for like 24 hours. Like, I could not get out of bed. I was so depressed. I was like, my life is over. And now that I feel like I'm like, 5, 6, 7, 10, 100 levels up from that. No offense, Second City Conservatory. But like, you know what I mean? Like now that I'm
we're both proud graduates of the Second City Conservatory. Graduates.
I threw away my t-shirt yesterday.
I don't even know where mine is.
I just needed more room.
Yeah.
They gave me the wrong. I accidentally got the woman's cut, which I just hate.
Just a boat neck.
Yeah. A boat neck with like no
little sleeves.
Little flap. I was like, I'm not wearing this.
No, why would I ever wear this? Also, just make t-shirts unisex, because who is wearing the women's cut?
Who's wearing the women's sluts? And whores. But yeah, you look down, and I'm like, it is like embarrassing to tell people that like after I got rejected from Second City Conservatory, I lay in bed and couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah. But also, then, like, it's also redirection. Like, one of those things in that 2019 year of rejection was I auditioned to be the YTV host, and I got kind of far, but not super far, and I didn't get it. And when I didn't get it, I was like, oh my God, I am shit. And if you aren't in Canada, YTV, it's like a children's TV network.
Yes.
It's like Nickelodeon kind of, but so it's for younger. It's younger.
Giving public funding.
Yes. Too. Yes. And I didn't get it, and I was so upset. And now I look back and I'm like, I have never been more ill-equipped for a job in my life. Like, surely part of the reason I didn't get it is because at the time I had a stand-up clip online talking about how much cock I sucked. Like, I'm not like, I didn't get booked at a children's show because I'm a goblin? I'm a cock-sucking goblin? Like, that makes sense. But when you're in it, you're just like, well, I guess you can't see like the full picture, right?
No,
so you're just like,
you can't contextualize it.
Exactly. So I was just like, oh, well, this was going to be my thing, and now it's not, so it's over, as opposed to being like, girl, like, that was never going to be your thing. Like, that's not what you do.
Have you ever read into human design?
No.
Okay, so human design, I'm really bad at it's kind of like astrology, but it's this idea that like you have like different kind of like lit up centers in your body.
Oh, cool.
It's interesting. I don't know if I fully buy into it the way I buy into like tarot and like astrology.
I'm
every woo-woo girl has their things they're buying into, and they're like, well, I don't believe in astrology though. I just believe in my crystals. And it's like,
yeah, that's so me though.
Yeah, no, it is you.
Because I'm like, what's actually interesting about crystals though is like, especially ones that come from the ground. It's like they actually have a different vibrational setting. They actually give off vibrations if you look into it. I'm a big nature, like, that's my thing. I'm like, you gotta put, guys, if you're ever feeling down, go outside and put not your dominant hand, your undominant hand, which is your feeling hand in like the Wicca tradition or whatever, and just put it on the trunk of a tree.
Yes.
And like send your energy into it and receive your energy back. I sound anti-vax.
No, but it does make sense.
So good.
Whenever I'm like feeling really, really depressed, I'm like, I need to take my shoes off and stand in the grass. Like, unfortunately, that's what I need to do. And like, I can't take any criticisms. Like, I need to just like, I'm not wearing shoes. I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to be rolling down the hill.
If you listen, like, I need to hear the natural kind of sound of water running.
Yes, like, I need to go to the babbling brook.
Exactly.
And hang out at the babbling brook.
Yes.
But in human design, there's this thing that's sort of like it's everyone in human design, you have like a different strategy. Ooh. And when I did it, it said that mine is to like wait for the invitation. And it sounds really like kind of stupid, but like it's supposedly the idea that like things that are meant for you will like eventually like invite you in. And everyone has like other people need to like seek out things more.
This is really because I feel this inherently. Like I
you
often
should look it
feel
up.
like even like as with everything, like I always am reticent to give advice because I think like if you're thinking about something like comedy, I'm like 50% of people need the advice to take classes and study it more. But the other 50% need the advice to just get out there and do it. Like different people need different things. Some people need to just like, and I feel very akin to what you've said of like, I need to just like let it happen.
Yes.
Because I try to force it all the time.
And it always goes wrong.
Exactly. But other people need to seek it out and I know who they are. And I'm like, you need to go and seek it out. But it's like different. You need to go against whatever your feeling is usually.
Exactly. Like for me, I've realized that like if I just follow the things that like naturally call to me and work really hard at them and like get good at them and whatever. Yeah. And then like eventually someone will like, and invitations I feel like will like sometimes they'll be like literal invitations or there'll be someone who be like, you're really good for this or like we want you for this or like you should do this, whatever. And like everything good in my life has been from like even like the second time I got into or I auditioned for Con for Second City when I famously couldn't get out of bed the first time. The second time I had an invitation. Like someone was like, I think you're ready for Con.
Okay.
And it's stuff like that like it's not even like here's your fancy envelope.
But even that thing of like, because I've spent so much time, love comedy, love it, but like I force that in a lot of ways in my life of just being like through sheer brute force, I'm going to be doing this and people will accept the fact that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's where I've gotten a lot of my opportunities just being like, I'm here again auditioning.
Yeah, exactly.
Year 7, let's go, baby. But like with writing, it was like a lot easier. Yeah. Like I just started writing and it was immediately like easier. And I was like, that's really fucked up. That like other stuff in your life is so much easier than other stuff.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Well, and it's also too, like with comedy, I feel like, you know, you've gotten to the place that like you're going to be, which is like you're getting all the good comedy auditions and like it's just a waiting game, you know?
And also like
again,
nothing
it's like you're on the
in
next
Canada
level.
is harder. Like I was talking to a friend about this the other day and he was like, I wonder if I'll ever be a published author. And I was like, you will because
you will. Easy.
Nothing is harder than trying to be a comedian in Canada. Nothing is harder. Yeah. Everything else is easier.
Well, and especially like it does get harder as you go up. Like I got into comedy. Like I did like funny roles in high school, whatever, but my high school like very to my face was like girls aren't funny.
And they're right.
Yeah,
Speak to
they're
that.
correct. And they took my sketches away and gave credit to some other man. And I was like, okay, whatever. I hate this, whatever. And then I started doing comedy in university because I was looking for a bathroom and someone thought I was looking for the improv
An
workshop.
invitation.
It was truly an invitation. They were just like, well, like if you want to, like if you're done in the bathroom, you can come do this because everyone else was playing Capture the Flag. I can't imagine an activity worse for me. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go to the improv workshop.
Yeah.
And then that's literally how it happened.
Crazy,
you know what I mean? And on that note,
speaking of invitations,
here's your invitation to the Titanic. So Carley, I have to be honest with you.
Yes.
We're doing the discovery of the wreck. When I was thinking about this, I literally went in and I was like, I feel like this is going to be so boring and we're not actually going to be able to do this as an episode.
Yeah.
It is insane. It is so much weirder than I thought it would be.
Come on, haunted ghosts.
Yeah, like
haunted ghosts, by the way.
Haunted ghosts. Unlike the unhaunted ghosts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't realize, like, when I was doing research, just how weird this kind of saga had been.
Can I ask you a question? What year was the wreck discovered in? Because I don't remember the Titanic not being found.
It was 1985.
Okay.
Okay. So for us, it's kind of like, you know, it was like still recent history.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids or whatever, but like it was done. And like something that
the James Cameron movie is definitely kind of what, because Titanic,
Yes.
I feel like was massive for our age group, and it's got to be that movie that kept it recent, right?
Yeah, and reading through, I didn't realize this, but it makes sense now that like when the Titanic was discovered, it was like Titanic pandemonium.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was like Titanic Beatlemania.
Can you imagine? Like, can you imagine?
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's so exciting. And I didn't realize like until doing this research how much it had actually been like in the cultural zeitgeist, like this like find the Titanic kind of thing. The first thing I want to talk about in my little categories is like early expeditions.
Okay.
So immediately after, this was something that surprised me. There were a bunch of early expeditions immediately after the Titanic sank.
Okay.
The Guggenheims, the Astors, and this other the Widens or whatever.
Come on,
This
inventors
other-
of the Hershey Kiss.
Is it? Oh, is that who it is?
No, I don't
It's the Hershey's Kiss people, whatever.
Yeah.
The inventor of the snow cone.
Yeah.
With this other rich family who lost people to the Titanic, they commissioned a company to raise the Titanic out of the open.
Woo!
And they abandoned it immediately.
Fucking rich people.
Which is like, I'm sorry, but that's literally, like, what were they gonna do? Like, they were just like, we don't have the technology. And they were like, yeah, guess not.
I guess that makes sense.
Or
It's
giving
20,
up on
it's
it.
19, whatever. Like, we don't have.
Yeah.
That's what my favorite, you guys should read this book. It's fucking phenomenal. It's, I don't know the name of it, but it's the Stephen King book about what basically a Stephen King self-insert. Main character goes back in time to stop the Kennedy assassination.
Oh, 11/22 something something.
It's the date that Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But
Okay.
yes. And there's a part of the book that makes me laugh so much where he goes back too far and has to live through the 50s. And it's like boomer porn where it's just being like, oh, the first thing he does is have a milkshake. And he's like, the milkshakes are so good.
They don't use malt anymore.
And he coaches the football team and it's just like being a man in the 50s is awesome. Like that's all it fucking is. But there's a part where he has a girlfriend and they're driving and he starts singing Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones, which isn't out yet. And she's like, where did you hear that song? And he was like, I heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
And she's
On
like,
the FM?
Yeah, she was like, they would never put lyrics like that on the radio. It's the 50s. As if anybody would ever say it's the time period they're in. Like, I wouldn't be like, they would never do that. It's 2023.
Yeah.
Like, it's like an awareness that doesn't exist, but it's like them being like, we need to raise the Titanic, but we can't because it's 1910s.
It's 1910s and we don't have the technology. Also, sorry, Honky Tonk Woman, insane song.
I know. He's like, she blew my nose and then she blew my mind.
She's
That was
a
the part.
hard.
Like, that was the part, because it was like, she blew my nose and then she blew my mind, which was being like, yeah, she sucked my cock or
Yeah,
whatever.
she blew
That's
my-
the part, because I had never listened to that song until that book, and I was like, I've got to hear this song. Also, we talked about the Rolling Stones too much for a podcast like this, but did you see that they re-released that song that's like, no, you're 15. I don't need to see your ID. Like, because I was like, the Rolling
Yeah.
Stones released a new single, and I listened to it, and I was like, this fucking song again?
Oh, they released them.
Don't release the song with the lyrics, you're 15. No, I don't need to see your ID.
Every time I go on Spotify, the Rolling
doesn't-
Stones have dropped a new single
she
that is a
doesn't-
70-year-old song.
Yeah, she doesn't have an ID. She's 15.
She's got her middle school access pass for
Yeah,
the gym.
Exactly. Like
give me a
what are you
break.
talking about? I like looked it up because I was like, why the fuck would you re-release this song? It's so offensive. Like, it's just bad. Like, I'm not being like, no, cancel the Rolling Stones. Like, if heroin isn't gonna take Keith Richards, you can't cancel him. But like, why did they re-release it? And it's like,
Yes,
it's like
that's what's
because
weird.
the new album or something. It's so fucking stupid.
I know.
But I was like listening to it on the way home from the gym, and I was like, this song is out. I know this song is out. I know in the year of our Lord 2023, you're not releasing
song
it.
existed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just did what I said nobody should ever do in the Stephen King book. I was like, you can't release a song like that. It's 2023.
2023?
Fuck.
Wow,
Okay.
Carly,
you know
you just
what?
proved yourself wrong.
Steve, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I doubted you. You're right.
Sorry, Stephen King.
I'm looking it up and then
How the fuck did we get on that?
Because you were saying they didn't have enough money.
Oh yeah, they didn't have enough money. They didn't have the technology. So they just abandoned it. After that, people just keep thinking about it.
But they're not like searching for it.
So the thing is, like, they're not this is the thing that's kind of unclear, because I think that they just kind of thought, because they knew where the Titanic had sent its last message from. So I think that they thought
cool.
that would just be where the Titanic was. But then it
babes.
wasn't.
No, babes.
And it wasn't, because they traveled through the water.
There's a thing called the tides.
Tides, the current. And also maybe
if you knew about the moon, if you knew about the moon cycles,
the cycles of the moon,
they should have gotten an astrology girl on this.
They should have gotten.
If they got an astrology girl on the crew, the Titanic would have been found in 1920 at most.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, literally, instead of a radio room, just have a bunch of women who
look at the moon. Their cycles are all cycle. They're all together.
They all have their period at the same time, and then the Titanic doesn't sink.
Yeah, I'm like kind of in my. I'm not anti-vax, but I am in my like anti-vax era of like being like my cycle, the moon, whatever, like just having the energy.
Like, sorry, I can't come out tonight. I'm in my luteal phase.
Yes. And I know you said, I'm going to put you on blast that you have your period today.
I do have my period today.
Don't click off. Don't click off because she has her period.
It's fine.
But there's this girl who I follow on YouTube, and I was telling you about her before. Her name's Harmony Nice, and I like her because she's not on YouTube anymore, which to me signals real healing.
Yes.
I'm like, if you're like telling me how to do mental health and spiritual stuff, and you're like, I don't need to be on YouTube. I'm like, that's a healed girl. Nobody on YouTube, base level, and I'm saying this as myself, anybody who is successful on YouTube is the most psychotic individual you will ever meet. But she has been saying that she was really into meditating when she's on her period because your intuition is heightened.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's true.
I'm going to go home and meditate.
Because it's like, because you're like connected to your inner goddess.
Oh, okay. I just feel usually really connected to my lower back pain.
Yeah, I'm really connected to my anger.
Yeah, I'm really connected to my toilet. Am I right? Ew.
That's so true.
So anyway.
Speak on that.
So then it seems that the world went through a phase that was very obsessed with different methods of trying to raise the Titanic.
Girl, you don't know where it is yet.
That's the thing. They don't know where it is, but they're not even thinking about that. They're like, when we get there, we got to get this thing back up.
A giant-ass magnet over top of the ocean.
Yes. I literally think that was proposed at one point. It was like a big magnet. So, okay, in the mid-60s, a hosiery worker from England named...
You mean like...
stockings.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was like, what?
He made... stockings and tights, like hosiery.
Yeah, okay, just making sure that's we're on the same page.
From England.
Also, pervert.
Yeah, no,
anybody who's
doing
gross.
That, literally gross.
Pervert.
Women should make their own. If you're not weaving your own tights and stockings, disgusting.
You gotta, it's like you've seen those ads, obviously, where they put like the scissors down the stockings.
I don't trust that. I would never buy Sheertex. I'm sorry. Sorry, Sheertex. If you want to sponsor us, yeah. No, Sheertex. I'm talking to you. Prove me wrong.
Yeah,
me trying to get $75 tights. So anyway, the Sheertex of the 1960s was Douglas Woolley.
Okay.
And he devised a plan to find the Titanic using a deep sea submarine to raise the wreck by inflating nylon balloons. That would be it. So
it's because he just wants to fucking get a fucking sponsorship with raising the Titanic.
Yeah, dude.
Using his nylon balloons.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
he's like attaching
if it was in the
balloons.
modern day, they'd be like, BetterHelp cares a lot about mental health. And that's why we raised the Titanic.
To put a bunch of therapists on it and sink it again.
Yeah, put a bunch of therapists that are unlicensed on the Titanic.
Or only licensed in like Virginia.
Yeah, exactly. And come for Virginia, Blair. Get him!
Yeah,
get him, Blair! Get
West
him!
Virginia! Mountain Mama! So we wanted to turn it into a floating museum. Okay.
A floating museum? What? You can't just say that sentence like that explains anything.
Well, you know how there's like old boats and they just sort of like put them in the harbor and
like
they're
a pirate ship that you can like have a child's birthday on.
Yeah, except like the Queen Mary. What's the Queen? Like the big boat.
Yeah, but that's not. But that's a real boat. That's not
a real boat. That's
it's not a museum though. It's like a cruise ship.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah, because I saw it in. I went to Quebec City.
I went to Quebec City too.
For my first year anniversary.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I got sick the whole time. Just so you guys know, what you see on social media
is not
reality.
It's not real.
You probably saw some pretty cute pictures.
People are puking way more than they're putting on the internet.
Exactly.
So floating museum. So it'd be like... So either like they park the ship, you could go in and look in the ship, whatever. I don't know.
Also,
this guy sounds like a maniac.
Yeah, he's a maniac. He's making women's tights. He's a pervert.
This is also like 50 years after it'd been on the like floor of the ocean. Like
just
it's not
raise it up.
Doing good.
Yeah. Also,
he's just
nobody's
like, pull her up.
Nobody's gonna set foot on the thing that sunk. It's like if they put the 9/11 museum at the top of a new twin tower, I'd be like, sounds good. I'm never going up there.
So can you imagine how slippery it'd be? You wouldn't be able to walk around.
I think that's a Chris
algae.
Rock joke. I think it's a Chris Rock joke where he's like because he was saying like they're gonna build a new like World Trade Center. Can you imagine working at the Sunglasses Hut at the new World Trade Center? You're an insane person. I think it's a Chris Rock joke. It's a pretty funny joke.
That's a really
Obviously,
good joke.
He was really mean to Meghan Markle for no reason in his new uncensored special, but that's a pretty good joke.
That is really
Why
good.
Why are you making it a floating museum?
No, I don't know. But they set up this thing called the Titanic Salvage Company. Was set up by a group of businessmen.
The boat first before you.
They weren't thinking about that, Carley. They had to go in with a plan. Have you ever seen a movie with the 60s? They always spend 10 years on a plan, and then it falls apart when someone's like addicted to drinking whiskey and playing poker.
Not addicted to drinking whiskey.
Not a whiskey addict.
No.
Me AF. Me AF, whiskey and poker with the boys or death. Just kill me if I can't do that. Boys not, darling, or to kill me right now.
Right now.
60s.
I was really premature, and I always said to my mom, like, it's crazy that if I wasn't born in the modern
right on time,
day,
actually.
you fucking would be.
Yeah.
You would be. I was only early for my birth and then decided to be 25 minutes late for the rest of my life. It's only fair. But I said to my mom, like, as a joke once, being like, if I was premature, so like, and this is not like really a funny joke to say to your mom who almost lost you in the hospital as a child, but I was like, I wouldn't have survived in the modern, like if it was if I was premature at a different age. And she was like, that's not true. Your great grandmother was born a month early and they just wrapped her in a wool blanket and gave her a rag soaked in whiskey and she lived. And she lived to be like 98.
That's crazy.
I don't know. No, that's a really dark thing to say. I was saying, I don't know if I want to die young or live long enough to be a survivor and see all my friends dead. Leave it in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube.
Would you rather die early or stay alive enough to see everyone you love die?
Be a survivor. Let us know.
Let us know. Email us at truthtanic@gmail.com. We haven't gotten enough emails yet, so please email us.
Yeah, especially if you're a SheerTex rep. Or if you're a representative for Rachel Ziegler. Those are the two sponsorships we'll take. We either want to be a part of the Rachel Ziegler PR turnaround.
Yes.
Or a SheerTex sponsorship.
We don't want to talk to anyone else unless it's you telling us
if you want to
die young or watch everyone you love die.
And be a survivor.
And Rachel Ziegler, if you want to tell us which one you'd prefer,
our inbox is open.
We love you.
You're love you.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
The Titanic Salvage Company.
They wanted to raise
the Titanic using nylon balloons.
That's so fucking
stupid. To be a floating museum.
Okay, not to poke holes in this immediately. How are you getting the nylon balloons to the floor of the ocean?
This is the thing. So a bunch of businessmen from West Berlin, they set up a account to support it financially. Then the project totally collapsed when they found out they couldn't figure out how the balloons would be inflated.
Yeah, fucking.
And they calculated.
It's like, there's not one woman on this fucking team because immediately you're going, okay, I've got a question.
Yeah.
How are you going to inflate it?
It says calculations showed that it could take 10 years to generate enough gas to overcome the water pressure. So they just this guy just had a dream.
Yeah, that's like Elizabeth Holmes fucking Theranos thing of being like, saying an idea is the same thing as doing any science. Yeah. You can just say, I have an idea, and the idea is a little robot that tells you if you have cancer.
Yeah.
And that's enough, by the way. That's
exactly.
Enough. You can just say that. You don't need to do it.
You don't need to do that. So anyway, back to the Titanic. So after
I feel loopy. Like, I feel loopy.
I know. I feel kind of creepy.
I feel tired, but like not in a fun way.
Do you want some more Diet Coke?
No, it's okay. I'm just going to be kind of crazy, and I want people to know if I'm acting kind of whack. That's why.
Wow.
I don't know why I'm tired.
Always loopy. Honestly, I didn't sleep not last night, but the night before, I didn't sleep at all. And so like today it's catching up to me.
This new medication is kicking my ass. It's like making me feel mentally really great, but it's so hard to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Because I have a joy for life, which I'm not really used to. So it's
funny.
very easy to sleep if sleep is kind of like you're microdosing death.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of like a break from your life. That's
you get to go to the spirit realm.
Yeah, kind of pretend that you've died.
Yeah.
And also when you're awake, you don't like have a lot of energy. So sleeping's all you can do. And then when you're not depressed, all of a sudden I'm like, I have so much energy and I can't fall asleep because I'm like thinking things before bed besides like, I need to not be conscious anymore. So I'm not sleeping at all. And like my partner's like, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm great. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm excited to be alive.
I don't know if you get this too. Like whenever I don't sleep, I get this like weird high where I'm just like, if I just keep going and never stop.
Yeah, I'm like, I can get a lot done.
Or it's just like this Friday, I'm helping a coworker and I'm covering like I'm working Friday night and then Saturday all day and then I'm doing beer. And I'm like, and my coworker messaged me being like, hey, because he's doing this other event in the main hall. And he was like, do you want the shorter shift in the main hall? And I was like, honestly, that's so nice of you to offer, but I'd rather have the longer shift just so I enter that like crazy, like
why not
adrenaline phase. You know what? Because I'm going to have to go straight through from 5 p.m. Friday to like 11 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm like, let's just.
In university, I had like I worked at the print shop, which I think I'd mentioned earlier, but it was like in the basement of the student union building, not a window in sight. And I would work in the long hall for like full time every single day over winter break, and no one was even really there. So it'd be like basically just making those like buttons for student council elections. And I would just sit there with an audiobook and no one would come in, and I would start work at 8 a.m. in winter and leave work at 5 p.m. So I never saw the sun for like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's awful.
And I felt crazy, but it was
You're a mole person.
but it was also meditative.
Yes.
Because I'm very good at being alone. And I feel like you're also just very good at just being like, well, we're here.
Yeah, we're done.
Let's do it. I was listening to the audiobook of A Little Life at that time too. So it was just like over the fucking like PA system being like, Jude cut himself again and watched as the like graphic depictions of rape and stuff like that. It was just me alone, like mole personing. Fuck that book. That book fucking sucks.
Yeah, really? I just put it on hold at the library.
Great. You'll love it.
No, but this is everyone's just like, you're going to hate this book. I'm like, well, you can't tell me that.
Well, it's very, very well written. It's just like woman writing gay men experiencing trauma porn. And it's also the way people think about it online, where people are like, it's so sad. And it's like, yeah, if you were allowed to write 9 rapes and copious depictions of sexual assault and having the worst things happen in every single book, every book would be sad.
Yeah.
Like you can make any book sad if you do that.
Yeah, and it's not actually
it's not a feat to do that.
You know what you should read? Have you read Juno Loves Legs?
No.
I think you'd like it a lot.
Okay, I'll put it on my
it's
story
like
graph.
Ireland in the 80s, like Catholic school, and then they like grow up together kind of thing. Oh. Anyway, back to the Titanic. So basically, through the 20th century, there's a bunch of different proposals to like find the Titanic. Raising the Titanic was huge. Everyone wanted to raise the Titanic.
Why?
Because I think they were just sort of like,
it.
But also I guess at the time, like the idea of like an underwater camera didn't really exist. So it's like, if we're going to see the ship again, we got to get it up into the air.
Yeah. I also, obviously, like we didn't feel any type of way about disturbing grave sites in the 20th century. Like now we're I think we're also a lot more comfortable to be like, we just need to like let this go. As opposed to like they were like, dig up the graveyard. Dig it up.
See what the skeletons are wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the old watches. The old
I want to see.
That's the thing. Like, I think this idea of like, you know, everything that was salvaged back in the day. Yeah. Like, again, we were talking about Egypt. Did you ever hear about,
no, I don't know if I could talk about this, but you know, there's a person who drew from Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, but like David Diggs Thomas Jefferson in a Miku binder, Thomas Jefferson. And the person who drew Miku binder, Thomas Jefferson, was a grave robber.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they like admitted to robbing graves on their Tumblr.
Honestly, that's such like a Tumblr kid thing to do. Like my friends 100% would have done that in high school. You know what I mean?
So insane to do.
Like, but like, there's something about like being like a weird kid in high school where like nothing's off limits.
Well, yeah, my
and you're
friends
reading
would just
these
like
Neil Gaiman books, and you're like,
you're lost in the sauce.
I want to go to a graveyard.
I know that's the best thing, because I mean I know I talked about Stephen King earlier because I was thinking about him because I've been watching a lot of interviews with him, and Neil Gaiman's like this too, where it's like the most fucked up motherfuckers who write insane shit are just like, yeah, I love hanging out with my wife. Like they're regular. And that's why whenever you meet somebody who's twisted, you know that they're an awful writer.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like if you need to be twisted, like make it up. Do you know what I mean? It's like the Sir Patrick Stewart thing of when people are like, I love to method act. And he's like, They fucking make it up, like act.
That's why I love like Jennifer Lawrence behind the scenes. Like she's amazing in the way that she'll just be like, honka-donka-donk, I love pizza, which is her thing.
Yeah,
Back in the
her.
day.
Queen,
People were like,
love
she
her.
was always like, I just want to be home and eat a pizza. And then she'll just drop in and be Katniss Everdeen. And then she'll be like, okay, haha, time for lunch. And I'm like,
But
oh,
that's
you're
a good
great actor.
That was a famous thing
You're literally
I read.
acting.
There's a really good, it's very, nobody really watches it because it's like a random season of American Crime Story, but they have an American Crime Story about the Andrew Cunanan murders, which is like the guy who killed Gianni Versace.
Oh.
And Darren Criss is playing. It's the last role he played before he decided to stop playing gay roles. So before he disappeared into the ether and we never saw him again.
He should go back to playing gay roles.
He won an Emmy for it.
Yeah,
and then
babe, Darren Criss? Rachel Zegler, could you please talk to Darren Criss?
Rachel Zegler, talk to Darren Criss and tell him.
I know you know each other. Can you please talk to him and tell him to play some more homos?
Yeah. Okay, I'm
and
not
say
owning that
homos.
sentence.
Rachel Zegler, say one homophobic thing and you'll be welcome on.
Yes, Millie Bobby Brown yourself.
Millie Bobby Brown yourself.
That's my favorite. You've seen the video of her crying because she's upset that people say that she called them the F slur and hit them with their car.
She's my favorite celebrity. Did you see the interview she did recently where she was just like, I did call myself a feminist until a witch told me I was a feminist. Or no, it was psychic. She went to a psychic and they told her she was a feminist and then she was a feminist.
I love her so much. Like,
she's incredible.
Absolutely. Like, if you're going to be famous at the age of 12, marry a Bon Jovi. Be insane. Like, go on that area on talk shows when she would just go on talk shows and fucking rap the Nicki Minaj's Monster verse. She's like... And they have a rumor about you that you run over gay people with your car. And then there's that laptop video of her singing Imagine.
I love it.
You may say I'm a dreamer. She throws dreamer because she can't hit the note, which I love. I'm a dreamer. She throws it kind of a bit. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know why we were talking about her. Millie Bobby Brown, Titanic movie when?
Yeah, seriously.
Is that a sentence at all?
Oh, yeah. Millie Bobby Brown did not consider herself a feminist until her psychic told her she was. Thankfully, a commune with the spiritual realm brought her to the banks of girl bossery. And now she's making a movie about a girl in a dragon pit. I love her.
I've seen both of the Enola Holmes movies. If you want a good night, take an edible, get high off your ass, and watch the Enola Holmes movies.
I've seen the first one. And I honestly loved it.
They're great. They're like historical Sherlock Holmes shit with Millie Bobby Brown, who can act. Let's say it. She's a good actor.
Fantastic.
But they don't really. They do the Fleabag thing where she'll just like randomly talk to the camera.
Yeah.
And it's shocking. Like it's jarring. Where it starts. This whole scene happens, and then the first scene of the movie, it's like this big chase scene, and then she just goes, "My name's Enola," which backwards means alone. And you're like, fuck. Because you're like, if you're high, you're like, why is she talking to me? Why is she talking to me?
That's why I had to stop smoking weed and watching movies. Because I was like,
you're like, I'm dying right now. Millie Bobby Brown is talking to me. Millie Bobby Brown is talking to me.
Turn around.
In the second movie, it's all about like these strikes of like the child workers strikes in England. And I made fun of the movie the whole time. And then at the very end, all these kids walk out of this, like they go on a strike because they're walking out of the factory because it's unsafe working conditions. And I just got so quiet because I was like, humans are so brave. The human, because it is like a 13, all of those worker strikes in the olden days, it's like a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah. No, crazy. And
that's insane.
It's so easy to get me to cry over corny stuff like that. Like I can't even make fun of it.
Workers'
Like
rights.
I'm just gonna weep.
So
like
corny.
I wept at the end of Daisy Jones and the Six, the TV show. I was weeping when Shine a Light by the Rolling Stones was playing. And she's like, yeah, call up Daisy. You still owe me a song. And I was like, why am I crying? I hated this.
That's a really funny show to
weeping.
weep at.
I also wept listening to the audiobook of Lessons in Chemistry, which I also hated. Like, it's so easy to get me to just like cry. It's just like the human spirit.
Yeah.
Powers through.
Human spirit really does get me. Old people make me weep.
Yeah.
Like old people, like recently, I always talk about, there's this we watched The Divine Secrets of the Ya Sisterhood, and there's this scene and where she's it's like Sandra Bullock, I think, talking to her dad who's elderly, and she was like, "Were you loved enough, Dad?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "What's enough?"
Yeah.
And we're like,
that's agony.
yeah, all right. I famously weep at the wept at the trailer for the Netflix docuseries Baby Animals Animal Babies.
That'll
because it's
get
like
me.
a trailer and it's like it's about baby animals. And there's a thing where it's like, being a baby is hard. And then it'd be like a baby monkey falling from a tree, or like a baby penguin alone on an iceberg. And then it goes, but they don't have to do it alone. And then it's like the mother monkey pulling the baby up and all stuff. And I was like, fuck.
I know.
Because honestly, if you really think about it, being a baby, being a human is hard.
You're shitting
but
yourself,
but you don't have to do it alone.
I can't.
Isn't that really sweet?
I'm actually gonna cry.
So stuff like that where it's like the human, like the sum is greater than the parts is always a big thing. So like that's why like I was like truly weeping at the end of Enola Holmes too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, together we are stronger.
Yeah. It's like I like Hamilton too gets me.
Yes. I wept at the end of Fun Home. Like I went to see Fun Home randomly when it was the regional production of Fun Home. I didn't know how it ended.
That's insane.
I didn't know how it ended. So I went with my dad.
Holy
and
shit.
then afterwards, like truly like out of the theater, like openly, like not like weeping, like and my dad like drove me home and was like, is your roommate home? Because I don't think you should be home alone. Because it's like this idea at the end, I'm going to spoil it. But it's like not that big of a spoiler because they tell you that he like, the father dies in the very first like scene of the whole show.
It's kind of the point.
But at the very end, it's like he's about to kill himself and he feels isolated because he's in the closet and she's in the closet and they're driving and it's like telephone wire, whatever. But it's like the idea of two people not being able to connect, but they're next to each other and they're going through the same thing. It's like the sum is greater than the parts of like being like, if you can just talk, you can find solace and support in one another.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? Also, very similar themes as Fun Home is After Sun. Have you seen that?
No, because I know I'm gonna weep. But also like I know we shouldn't be like objectifying men or whatever. Fucking jerk. Who fucking
just be jerking them off.
He is so fine. He is the most handsome man on planet Earth.
Okay, here's the thing about Paul Mescal, because when I saw him, I was like, who is this guy? Why is he so popular? Why is he like here or whatever? Like blah, 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 blah. And then I watched After Sun, Carley, and I was like, this is the best actor working currently.
That's the thing. It's like, he is so handsome and he's phenomenal.
That's the thing. Phenomenal. And the thing is like looking at him, it's like, this guy is like not, I wouldn't say he's like movie star handsome, but he's like a handsome that I'm like, if you were my friend, I'd be like, you're a very handsome man. Yeah. You know, like it's not like he's like a regular Brad Pitt.
Well, because he looks normal, which is why he's so handsome.
Yes, exactly. Where it's just like, oh, you're a guy who like could easily be like in my acting class or like, you know what I mean? Like
he's so fine.
But he is so talented. I think that is his draw. And he's phenomenal in After Sun.
Okay, I'll watch
it. And it is like so sad because it's like very similar themes of like, what if you could just communicate with someone, but like, you know, for whatever time and stuff. It's very ambiguous. Very ambiguous. It's pretty.
Well, that's the thing where I'm like, I don't know if I can watch that.
There's nothing shown and sort of like draw your own conclusion.
Well, yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
figured.
And then he was also amazing.
It's not like the fucking Karofsky scene in Glee where he hangs himself. What song are they singing when Karofsky kills himself? Siri.
Who is that guy?
Oh, they're singing cough syrup.
Oh no.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No notes on that. And I think it's sectionals or something. And it's the Warbler singing cough syrup.
Oh, I've heard the cough syrup cover. I don't think I got to that episode though.
No, and thank your fucking lucky stars.
So through the 70s, they're trying to raise the Titanic, jump to the Titanic. So in the 70s, there's a bunch of proposals. Some of them were they wanted to fill the Titanic with Vaseline.
Why?
Slugging. They wanted to slug.
Yeah, they wanted to slug her.
Molten wax or ping pong balls.
But bitch, how is any of this going to raise it?
Because the wax, I don't know. I have no answers for you.
Because the thing is, like,
that's
you have to
think it's really funny.
Because if you're trying to raise it with anything that's like air or gas,
you
have to get it down. You can't get it down.
It's like, can you imagine the ping pong balls? Like, what would you imagine that looking like?
One time in this was in middle school, there was a kid, you know the kids who had the rolly backpacks?
Oh, yes.
God love them. Mm-hmm. There was a kid who would always kind of do he did like the Naruto run all the time and he had a rolly backpack.
Oh, awesome.
And one time he took like a sharp kind of turn on a stairwell and his bag ripped open. And when I tell you 25 ping pong balls came rolling out, went down the stairs.
Where was he going?
I don't know. I think about it once a day. I don't know why he would do that. But
you know what? If he were at the bottom of the Atlantic, he'd float right up.
Exactly. So that's probably why.
That's probably why.
Like, you know what? Like life even in your darkest moments shows you joy. Yes. Okay. So what I don't understand about this is it's like you don't even know where it is.
But the
So
thing
I
is,
don't know why
they-
you're thinking about
I think
this.
they just assumed that the Titanic would be where the last message came out.
Okay, well.
And so they were just like,
no.
whatever, we need a plan. They needed a plan, Carly. What can I say? They needed a plan.
I hate this. I'm
and then
so mad at them. I'm so mad at them for not thinking effectively.
So this guy, Arthur Hickey, proposed to encase the Titanic inside an iceberg, freezing the water around the wreck.
Bitch, how?
And the calculator would require 500,000 tons of liquid
Yeah,
nitrogen.
you can just pitch whatever. I think we should
Yeah.
fill the Titanic with male seahorses. And then when they give birth, the force of the babies will pull it up. Like, you can't just say shit.
I also think that they didn't know how deep down it was. They didn't understand
obviously,
how
they
deep
don't
the
know how
ocean
the
was.
base level, the basics of physics.
Ping pong balls.
I don't know anything. The last physics class I took was in grade 9, and I know this doesn't work.
So they were stupid. But also in the
I'm
70s.
so mad, Blair. Blair, I'm so mad. Also in the 70s, Crosby, Stills, and Nash released.
That's your
impression.
Soldiers are on our own.
What song is this? That's it.
Born in Ohio. That's Neil Young, isn't it?
Is that Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young? Is this like, hey, no, what's that? Is that song?
No, this is
a Neil Young song.
Born in Ohio. It's Ohio.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is that just Neil Young or is that Crosby, Stills, Nash?
They
and
wrote
Young?
a different song about. They wrote a song like everybody was writing songs about the fucking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
About the Ohio State.
What's the one? One morning I woke up and I knew you were really gone. A new day.
Do you remember when
Carry
Urban
on.
Outfitters released like a ripped up, bloodied
A
Ohio
Kent State? Yes, the Kent State hoodie. Burned into my brain.
Yeah.
The way that would be a sleigh if Timothy Chalamet wore it.
Would it?
Yeah.
He's doing Wonka.
So picture this, the 70s. While everyone is saying some crazy shit, our king Robert Ballard is interested in the Titanic.
How old is he?
Young and hot.
Okay, sexy.
Yeah, he's probably in his 30s.
I one time made somebody really mad when I told them I didn't think Jacques Cousteau was hot. I feel like that's related to this. I was like, I respect him. I just don't like. I told him that I didn't think the concept of an undersea explorer is like an inherently sexy job.
Yeah. No, I know. It's one
It's
of those
not
things
like
that,
drummer or something that's like you know what I mean? You're kind of like, okay.
it's one of those things where I'm just like, I get why you think it's sexy, but it's like there's
He's
nothing
never
sexy
home.
about being waterlogged.
No, exactly.
Yeah, like can you imagine your hot man that you've chosen to be with is constantly just like damp and wrinkly? That's not
and
hot.
he's cold. And
He's cold,
seen
he's
shit.
shivering. Yeah. He's seen shit, he's puked, he's shit in a bucket.
It is kind of crazy how long. I just kind of registered what you said about shitting in a bucket. It is crazy how long the Titanic wasn't found for before they found it. Like, it's crazy that they ever found it. If it, you know what I mean? Like, comparatively to how long it was underwater.
Okay, so this is where we get into the like real meat of the thing.
Okay, pitch
Because
it
I
to
think
me.
that like they're kind of just waiting for technology to develop, right? So Robert Ballard, our
Seems
king,
like they've got enough with that fucking Vaseline
yeah,
idea.
exactly. The Vaseline is honestly Vaseline is I fucking love Vaseline so much.
Oh my god, that's my dream. I
live for
use
Vaseline.
Vaseline like nobody. It does everything. It's anything you
does.
could ever need it to do.
I've literally thrown out all my moisturizer and I just have Nivea cream and Vaseline.
If Vaseline,
That's
it's
all I
like
do.
cracked lips, cracked cuticles.
It's everything because it just
I do think if
encases
you
the
live
moisture.
in
Canada,
you
need
need
Vaseline. My mom used to like coat my hands in Vaseline when I go to school and put mittens over them, which is crazy. But I'm like, yeah, she had a point.
Was she wrong?
Yeah, could not use my hands, but they did not get dry. So basically, Robert Ballard, he is already like an established ocean explorer at this point. He's in the Navy. He's an officer, whatever. He wants to
Fucking whatever.
He wants to go down to the Titanic and he has these backers, but then he found out that these guys basically wanted to salvage the Titanic, again, running theme, and make pieces of the Titanic into like souvenirs and sell them.
That's
So
really
he was like,
evil.
I'm not going to do that.
That's like when people cut out Banksies from the wall and encase them in like they.
It's like, that's
you
not
own
the
that.
fucking point. So then he got these new backers. They joined with Ballard. They formed a company called Sea Sonics International Limited.
God, again with these fucking companies, find the wreck.
But this is the thing. They're trying to start a company and they're, rediscovering and exploring the Titanic. And in October 1977, he made the first attempt to find the ship. with like sonar equipment and cameras.
At least this is
So
anything. This is anything at all.
He's making
This isn't like, why don't we get to a bunch of coconuts?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this is at least anything real.
So he's really looking, and the sonar equipment is attached to like a drill ship, and they have this sort of like pole that is holding all the equipment, and then the pole breaks and it's basically over. Yeah. So they plunge $600,000 into the ocean, which is now equal to $2,897,529 in 2022. So
That's
they
really
send it
bad.
down to the sea. It's not good. So he's sad. And Robert Ballard, we leave him on a ship, just having lost a ton of money, not found the Titanic. It's too bad. 1978, the Walt Disney Company and National Geographic.
Evil.
They tried.
The fucking
they
mouse.
considered it, but then they didn't do it because they were like, it's going to be too expensive. So thank God. Can you imagine if Disney found the Titanic?
We found the Titanic.
Yeah. Do they have like they do it as like a
Why
Little
don't we fill
Mermaid.
the Titanic with ping pong balls?
I hate that little mouse.
I know. If I could shoot one cartoon character point blank.
Okay.
It goes Mickey Mouse,
Donald-
E.T.
Oh, E.T. Yes. Oh man, E.T. should be shot.
Well, he's kind of a cartoon character. He's not real.
He's not real, Rob. Do you know what fucking E.T. is?
God.
God. Exhausting explaining these things to you, Rob. It's a fake alien.
I don't think he knows.
British billionaire James Goldsmith, blah, 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 blah. He's sets up Seawise and Titanic salvage, whatever. He's looking at, going underwater, diving, photographic, blah, blah, blah. Then he wanted to find the Titanic and use the publicity to promote his like weird conservative magazine. And then he scheduled it for 1980.
PR for your weird conservative magazine?
This is what you do when you have too much money is you make insane decisions.
Yeah, you buy Twitter and destroy it. And you shoot Pete Davidson into space.
And the magazine, weirdly enough, was called Now. Not the same Now magazine, but it was called Now.
We have a magazine. We have a Now magazine in Toronto.
It folded a year later after 84 issues, and he lost a ton of money. So then this guy named Fred, he's from Florida. He sells his electronic shop.
He fucking would be.
He finances the completion of a 2-man deep sea submersible. He plans to go down to the Titanic and a submersible, like a sub. Like the Titan submersible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all coming back. Okay,
It's all coming back. It's all coming back. So he wants to go to the Titanic and get all the diamonds that are on the Titanic. Then he doesn't get enough money.
Does nobody want to just find it for any normal fucking reason?
Only
it's like
Robert Ballard.
Yeah, because everyone else is like, my conservative magazine. Oh, all the diamonds.
Oh yeah, we haven't even like
every single person besides Robert Ballard is acting like they're like an evil guy with like a twisty mustache and a monocle. Like, be normal.
Okay, now we're entering the real discovery of the wreck.
Okay.
So we've
The
got
1980s,
we've
baby.
got a little pre story to it. So this is technically like an early expedition, but I'm going to include it because I do think it ties in, which is in the early 80s. This guy named Jack Grimm, he's a Texas oil tycoon.
That's an awesome name.
He leads 3
Jack
expeditions.
Grimm?
Jack Grimm. I know a lot of people associated with the Titanic have very like
I
character
would
names.
love the name. My last name. My name's Carley Grimm.
Carley Grimm. It's so close to Thorn, babe.
Is it?
Grim Thorn. It's like
It's a sound.
Yeah, it's a sound. It's like grim tales, like a thorn on a branch, a thorn on a rose. Every rose has its thorn.
I feel like I'm having a stroke listening to you talk.
I know I'm not. I'm just kind of saying words.
Yeah, you're doing free verse poetry. Grim rose,
Grim
rose,
tales
thorn,
of the grim, thorn on a rose. Every rose has a thorn. Every grim has a tail. That was
kind of fire. That was crazy.
Actually, kind of good. Copyright.
That's our idea. That's our idea.
Our idea.
I'm Blair's manager.
Yes, we're gonna do slam poetry as our next.
It's always
podcast.
like you always hear those rock bands from like the 70s that are like, yeah, our band manager was just the guy we knew in high school who was our first band manager, and you're like, that sounds like a really bad idea.
Yeah, no, truly. My mom was telling me the story where she was getting propositioned to be like a touring publicist with these comedians in the 80s. And I was like, wow, like, and she turned it down for like they did something to like offend her. I think they were also talking to another woman about doing this. So she was like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, you just dodged your life ending in 2 years
You're
from
welcome.
that day.
Yeah, don't go in like the olden days going on a tour, not to offend your mom, sorry. Just call it the olden days. But going on a tour with comedians, it's like taking your life into your own fucking hands.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even like as a comedian. And
I'm like, you're either going to die from an overdose or something bad is going to happen. That's like,
never look up life expectancies of film crews.
Really?
Yeah, it's like in the 60s. It's insane. It's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's just like a hard job.
Yeah.
And there's accidents and stuff. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And I guess like not a ton of people do it. And a lot of them do drugs and everyone smokes cigarettes.
Yeah. That's the main thing.
That's the crazy thing about being on a film set is that all of a sudden everyone's a pack-a-day smoker.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then they'll be like, I only smoke when I'm on set. And it's like,
you're on set every day.
Yeah, I'm just like, you're a grip.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
I only smoke constantly when I'm at work.
Yeah, exactly. Me when I'm at the bar. But anyway, so Jack Grimm, he leads 3 expeditions to try and find the Titanic. He was like a big discovery expedition guy. He went on expeditions.
Did he have like evil motivations?
I think like
he just wanted to find it.
I think it was like not like super evil, but it was more just like he saw himself as a real like explorer type. Like he could be like, he wanted his name to be attached to it, you know?
It's like us.
Because his
it's like us with the Titanic.
Literally us. We're kind of Jack Grimming now.
Yeah.
But like he would go on things like he tried to find the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh,
he tried to find Bigfoot.
That should be season 2.
He tried to find Noah's Ark, and he also tried to find the hole in the top of the Arctic.
Is
in the North Pole.
Is Noah's Ark real?
Well, I don't know.
Not to offend Christians. Like, I'm genuinely wondering, because that was like when they were like, we found Jesus's bones. I was like, Jesus was a real guy?
I know. And like, there's like some things with the Bible
it's not
where
to
I feel
invalidate.
Like it's not,
no, it's like not to invalidate a religion. It's like, you know, a lot of religious tales are just fabricated to represent the teachings. You know what I mean?
I think that Noah's Ark was...
There's no scientific evidence that the Ark existed or that there was ever a global flood.
Okay.
I think that probably
but
what it was...
what about
was
the fact,
like,
what about if there was 2 animals, 1 girl animal and 1 boy of every animal? Is there any scientific proof of that?
So this guy, it's kind of funny because Jack Grimm, for all his hoity-toity adventures, he actually got pretty close. And he ended up actually mapping out a lot of like where the Titanic was.
Okay, so somebody's fucking actually doing the work.
Yeah, so he's actually kind of doing the work, even though it's like misguided.
Yeah,
like,
he's doing it insane, but he is. There's a guy like that now
Yes.
who I read an article about him, but I don't remember his name. But there's a guy now who like has basically really destroyed a lot of his like astrophysics career because he's a tenured professor at like Harvard.
Yeah,
because he's now just like gotten all these billionaires to invest in his like findings to prove that aliens are real.
Oh yes. Yes.
And he's like gone off the deep end where it's like whatever. So there was this thing a while ago that was like it was a meteor that was really long and thin. And everyone was like, what is this? And he was like, it's aliens. It's aliens. I proved it's aliens. And then like 2 years ago, these 2 like PhD students were like, no, it's not aliens. Like, it's just like, it could happen. Like the pressure of space can have it. But like since kind of being proven wrong, he's like gone off the deep end in terms of like any kind of scientific validity where he'll just like publish his findings regardless of having it be peer reviewed about aliens. And he's giving me Jack Grimm vibes of like the money can cloud any kind of pure intention for scientific or for like exploration findings. Sometimes you're just like, you get lost in the sauce of the attention and the money and all these billionaires and all this stuff.
For sure. I think that's like absolutely kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
But it kind of worked in Robert Ballard's favor in the way that like he kind of mapped this out. And he also commissioned a documentary to be made about his expedition, narrated by Orson Welles.
Absolutely.
Which is insane.
Absolutely. Why not?
So this guy, blah, 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 he causes more trouble later, but on to the next.
Okay, so Grimm comes back. Mr. Grimm.
No, he's gone.
It's like, oh my God. Not to bring up Harry
later.
Potter, but you know, when Emma Thompson's character, Professor Trelawney's like,
Grimm.
it's the Grimm.
The Grimm.
What a bad teacher.
She really was.
Like, imagine if your teacher was like, you're gonna die. I'd be like, you can't say that to me.
You're
I'm
like terrified to go to class because you're going to get a prophecy about your
I'm like,
death.
I don't want my teacher to tell me I'm going to drown. Like, I don't want to go.
Yeah, like, no,
I'm going to talk to the PTA.
It's like the time in history class in the 7th grade. My teacher.
Oh my God.
Did I ever tell you about this?
No, but is it the Holocaust? Because every teacher
No.
teaches the Holocaust, at least where I went to school in America, and they go whack. It's the day of the year where they make every single kid with blue eyes get like all the like they get 100% on the quiz. It's like every kid with blue eyes, or sometimes I had a different teacher do it with popsicle sticks. You pull a popsicle stick.
Oh.
And it's like, if you're like not Jewish, they're like, you get a donut. And also, you don't have to take the test. You have to take the test and clean the blackboard. And then they're like, so this is what the Holocaust is.
Wow.
I also had a teacher that made us do trench warfare.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
She had us make our desks into trenches, and then we would throw paper balls at each other. And she was like, so the trenches were tough.
Did
you get
soak
trench
your
foot.
feet in water, so you get trench foot?
I know. She missed a month of school because she witnessed a motorcycle accident.
Oh my God.
And had to be on the jury. Or like not on the jury, like a witness.
Oh, like a witness. Okay.
And
awful.
it was the most calm my 7th grade has ever been. And thank fucking God. Because every single day it was like, I remember literally one of my friends, she was like, she turned 13 and she was like, oh, it's your birthday? You turned 13? Congratulations. If you were in the Great Depression, you'd be riding the rails by now. Like she was fucking insane.
That's insane.
Mrs. Donovan. We love a real one.
Mrs. Donovan.
I remember, but like to her credit,
Yeah.
I remember all this stuff.
No, truly. I just remember the story I was going to tell was like in the 7th grade, my history teacher just like decided to like give us one of those like inspiring like get out of the hood speeches out of nowhere. And he was like, look
He turns
around.
the chair
if
around.
you grow up in this neighborhood, you either join a gang or get an education and get out of here. And we're all just sort of like, what the fuck is this?
Why?
Like, what's this
Why?
guy doing?
Why are you
Like,
doing
we're
this?
12.
Yeah, I don't.
So-
Yeah, like I'm thinking about like recess, babe.
Exactly. I was thinking about Fall Out Boy. I don't know. So in 1982, Robert Ballard, back to our king finally.
Okay,
So
Grimm is in the past until he comes back later.
Exactly.
If you were doing a discovery of the Titanic movie, who would you cast as Grimm? Just so we can kind of picture it.
Ooh, like Jude Law.
That's really good.
Or like
I
Matthew
want,
McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey.
yeah, and I want like a mustache.
Yes, I need a mustache. I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio could do a good one. Like any of those like men in the South actors, you know.
Yes.
Christoph Waltz.
A little kind of smarmy.
Yeah, like a little slimy guy.
I'd love to see Alexander Skarsgård kind of tackle a Southern accent for
Yes,
the role.
I would love that.
You know, it's a pretty regular progression. You play Pennywise,
yeah.
then you play.
Succession.
Is he in Succession?
Is he in Succession?
He
Or am I
is.
mixing
Okay, our
him up with
producer
another
Rob
guy?
is nodding.
And
And
then-
then you play
That's-
Grimm.
Yeah, you play Grimm.
The Grimm.
Yeah. He from Texas, and we're going down to the
He would be.
Titanic.
Honestly, he would be though.
Yeah,
Nothing
no,
has made more sense than this person being from Texas.
He is Texas oil tycoon. Jack Grimm.
Awesome.
So back to Robert Ballard, our king. I don't know where he's from. America. Who cares? So he's already performed a number of like top secret missions for the Cold War. So he's like
What?
he's in the Navy.
Why was he in the Cold? What are you going to do in the Cold War?
you know sneak around? It's all secret, Carley. I don't know.
Well, I learned one thing from reading that John le Carré book, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, and that it's actually in aiming to protect our Western values during the Cold War. Sometimes we actually had to sacrifice our Western
Yawn.
values. Yawn? I also, again, another thing we were talking about,
America.
speaking about how shit the education system is in America, I never really learned about the Cold War. And then when I went to Berlin this year, I was like, fuck, this wall is big.
Yeah. No, the Cold War was a problem for sure.
Yeah.
So he's
And honestly, I'll stand by that the Cold War was a problem for sure. And you can actually quote us on that if you agree that the Cold War was a problem.
for sure. Email us at
Truthtanic. Rachel Ziegler. Here's the thing that's crazy about Rachel Ziegler is that people like honestly like they're hating on her for the wrong reasons because we don't even know where she stands on the Cold War.
Yeah, exactly. If she thought that the Cold War was actually probably like a good thing, it's probably that.
Oh no.
Rachel Ziegler, now's your time to state your stance on the Cold War.
Come on the podcast.
Come on the
and-
podcast
and state your stance on the
state your
Cold
stance
War.
on the
You're
Cold
a
War.
coward. We love you so much.
We love you so much, but you're kind of being a coward right now.
Because here's the thing. So many celebrities, they only talk about causes when it's convenient for them.
Exactly.
But
No one
as
talks about the
soon
Cold
as the
War
Cold
anymore.
War comes out, fucking radio silence.
It's like, what is this? The Cold War? Is it more like the War More? Because in the way that it's so more
cold. Oh my God. You have tears in your
I
eyes.
know, I can't stop crying because life is hard. It's actually really hard to be here.
What do you mean it's the war?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of, I don't know. My mouth has gotten used to moving and things just come out. I can't stop it anymore.
Doesn't, but you're not making any sense.
Whatever. It's because I'm trying to focus on Robert Ballard and you keep bringing up the Cold War.
I don't keep.
I brought up the Cold War. Actually, I'm gaslighting you. I don't need truth. Yes, I do. I need truth. Truthtanic.
I mean, it's pretty good. 6 episodes without us fighting is pretty good. I'm surprised it took it this long.
No, watching the clips back because we like sit for so long. There'll be times where we just look aside and go. It's like, are we fighting? And we're not. It's just neither of us can keep up like the mask of like engagement.
You're
we're
like,
just,
yeah. Addison, right? And then we disassociate and look at the wall. I know. I was thinking of like going out and like watching a movie later tonight, and then I was like, I can't. I've got to go home and draw a bath and be catatonic. Your Halloween costume.
Catatonic. Yeah, I lost that.
I was
ton
giving
of butter
Oprah right
immediately.
there. You get Robert Ballard.
You get a Robert Ballard. You get a Robert Ballard.
Where is she? When we needed her most, she disappeared.
I don't know. She's with Gail.
Yeah.
They're lesbians.
You've seen when she tried to out Nathan Lane? There's a video where she tries to out Nathan Lane when she's
awesome.
with Robin Williams is also there.
Oh my God.
And Robin Williams takes over. He's such king. I love him.
I love Robin.
If I could go back in time, I would save him. Like, I'm not stopping the Kennedy assassination. I'm saving Robin Williams' life. I love him so much.
Yeah.
And he didn't even raise me. Like, I didn't grow up on Robin Williams movies. I only found, like, later in life, besides Aladdin, I never really saw any of his movies.
was raised on Flubber.
I, like, watched literally 2 years ago, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, incredible.
The movie is so good, and weirdly, like, it does exist obviously in a very, very transphobic reality where it's not the fact that he's infiltrating his children's lives that makes him lose custody, it's the fact that they think he's trans that makes him lose custody, which is really dark. But surprisingly, like a surprising kind of, it's not as offensive as you'd think. He's amazing. But on this, literally, Oprah's like, obviously everyone knows Nathan Lane is gay, and I think she's trying to like lead him into admitting that he's gay. And then Robin Williams is like, I'm gay. Like as a joke, kind of, and he does like a character being like, "I'm gay," or whatever to like completely like just like make it a joke and do. And I saw it recently because somebody posted it, being like, "How skillful is this? Like making it all about you. Like that's allyship."
Yeah, it really is.
I
Well,
was
that's like
wonder-
also crazy too. Like I feel like talk shows still do that, where they just try and like get people to out themselves. It's like you're being kind of weird.
Yeah, you're being
You know
very
what I mean?
weird right now. I was at a One Direction concert when I found out Robin Williams died.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah,
But
it was
you also
not
got
good.
to see One Direction.
I've seen One Direction in concert because I had a friend who always got tickets. I think I've literally seen One Direction in concert 7 times.
That's insane.
It's too much.
Yeah, that's too many
Like
times.
I don't know how many times I saw them, and
That's
I
insane.
only got tickets once from my mom.
Like how many times did they even come to Toronto?
I've seen them 3 times in Toronto, and I saw them a bunch of times in Maryland. Where I
Oh,
grew
because
up.
you were in Maryland.
Yeah.
I always see it, like, I know that,
There's
but then
a
when
real,
you talk
I know,
to me.
there's a real benefit because I don't sound American. I sound pretty Canadian, I think.
I don't know, because especially being in Toronto, I'm like, I can't hear
Yes.
the difference when like
Also,
the only, you know.
Because of the
internet.
and TV,
Internet.
everyone, the Canadian accent doesn't exist anymore. There's
I know.
not a lot of regional accents.
Well, like when I was in Kingston, when I was at Queen's, there were people where I was like, oh, like
they're like,
you
ooh,
have
ooh,
like a
ooh,
Canadian.
like, and when you speak to a lot of people who are like 50 and older, like sound Canadian, like they have very round
all my aunts and
O's.
uncles.
Ooh. Yeah, they're like, ooh.
Or like, oh, you know.
Sorry, let's go out.
Oh, you know, you gotta
Oh,
go
you
get
know,
some,
yeah.
get some beers.
Now everyone's
go to
like,
the
what are you
park.
talking about?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like it's the harshest. Okay, Rob, okay.
Okay, we're getting back
I'm
on
not gonna
track.
fight with Blair anymore. I'm gonna fight with Rob. Where's Finch?
Yeah, where's the
Fuck you,
dog? We're gonna
Finch.
box the dog. Anyway, we're on a good track. So I'm just gonna blast through the Ballard stuff because it is kind of interesting.
Okay, and I'll be quiet.
No, you can chime in if you want, but
No,
you know,
I'll be quiet.
it's kind of like one chunk of just what happened. So don't be mad at me. Stop it. Stop. We can't be in a fight. We see each other too often. Can't be fighting. We have to go to Comedy Bar tomorrow. No, we don't. I won't be there. Maybe you are. Stop it.
No, what do you do? What's comedy bar tomorrow?
And there's nothing. I made that up in my brain. I'll be at comedy bar on Sunday. To see a show, not to be in it, because everyone hates me. Okay. Anyway, Robert Ballard, 1982. He's developing his own deep sea diving. He's developing an underwater vehicle. It's called Argo/Jason. This is so rude. Carly's curling up in a ball away from me while I speak. It is obscene.
I know. I realized this listening to the episodes that we've released. I'm like, I've got to stop doing visual gags. Like, no one knows. Like, there's so many times where if you're listening to the audio, I'm like, she goes like this, and then it's silence because I'm doing something.
You can't help it. No, I think you should keep it up because you know what? And listeners, if we say, and then she goes like this, it's your job to use your it's an imagination exercise.
Yes.
For you to use your imagination and imagine
That's how I
things.
feel with stand-up so much. If somebody's not laughing, I'm like, are you imagining what I'm saying? Because it's not going to work if you don't imagine.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't picture this, it's actually
You have to imagine
picture
with
it
me.
and imagine
That's
it.
your part of the job. You paid $15
What's wrong with you?
to come and imagine what I'm saying.
Exactly. So this guy, oh God. Robert Ballard goes to the Navy and he asks them for money to go and find the Titanic and to fund his new equipment. The Navy says yes, but they also want, the condition is that they want Ballard to use the fund to also find 2 missing U.S. nuclear submarines, the Thresher and the Scorpion.
Why is that missing?
This is the
Bitch,
thing.
why
This is
are
the
we
thing.
missing- why- don't-
They're missing 2 nuclear
Why did
submarines.
you lose those?
And they sunk in the 60s.
No.
So they've been in the ocean for 20 years. And then the Navy says to Ballard, they're like, okay, we'll fund this. You need to find the submarines, but you need to keep it top secret
Well,
because no
obviously-
one can know we lost the nuclear submarines.
Okay, well, also obviously not that top secret if we're talking about
but
it.
they only released it like kind of recently.
That's really
Like
interesting.
it's kind of insane. Like it really was a secret because Ballard goes back to the Navy and he's like, well, just tell everyone that I'm looking for the Titanic and don't tell them about the submarine. So this whole thing's kind of like a
Yeah.
cover. And so he has like a certain amount of time.
But the thing about Robert Ballard is like when
Yeah.
when people were saying like they lost the submarines, like oh my God, like the Navy lost the submarines. He was like, I don't really believe in gossip.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know, small people discuss people
and
big people discuss ideas.
And
Like
I'm
finding
thinking
the
of idea
Titanic,
to thinking the Titanic.
raising the Titanic.
Yeah.
I don't like to gossip. What a violent thing to say to somebody who's gossiping, because gossiping can be quite vulnerable.
Oh my
like
God.
Like if you say like, I
I'm
can't.
like, I trusted you with this information.
No, exactly. Like if somebody's like, I can't believe she did that. And somebody's like, oh, well, actually, I don't really want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh my
Okay,
God.
well,
Jesus Christ.
Someone's not an ally.
Yeah, okay.
Someone's not invited to my birthday
Gossip
party.
lives matter also. I've talked about this before online, but like the idea of gossip is so funny because it's like a heavily feminine coded
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
And it's like the reason they were like it was bad is because like in the old and medieval days when women couldn't have jobs besides sitting in weaving circles, they would say what's happening in the town.
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, just so you know, here's the information about this.
Yeah.
We're gossiping. And then the men were like, oh, they have knowledge that we don't have. That's
We need
bad.
that. That's
That's
bad.
for witches. Witches gossip. Witches gossip.
They shoot them at each other with guns.
Witches famously got shot. Witches get stitches. Oh my God, that's got to be a T-shirt, right?
Witches get stitches. Witches get
That's
stitches.
that's got to be a thing already, right?
I don't know.
Whenever I
Look it
think
up.
of something good,
It's already a thing.
I
It was
know.
a thing on Tumblr in 2010.
I know. It's fucking Halsey has a tattoo of it on her chest bone.
Yes. Yeah. Like
Maddie
a-
Healy did it stick and poke.
Yes. On like inside of the ankle.
Exactly.
Witches get stitches. So Robert Ballard finds the submarines and then he only has 12 days of funding to find the Titanic.
It's good
And
that he found the
had to-
submarines.
He had to limit. Yeah, I know. It just kind of glossed over. Like, yeah, no problem. Found the submarines. So he can limit his search. He has to limit his search to 100 square miles.
But Grimm did the work.
Grimm kind of did the work. So like he knew the area he was searching with. But this is what's
The Grimm.
interesting. The Grimm. So they've been using sonar technology, but what he had done to find the submarines was actually follow debris trails. So they would basically like just
Hansel and Gretel Cool.
Yeah, like he basically breadcrumbed the bottom of the ocean where they'd like mow the lawn of the ocean, so to speak, look for debris trails and then follow them, as opposed to just relying on the sonar, because the sonar wouldn't pick up little pieces of debris. It would only pick up large objects.
Okay, so he's fucking design thinking right now.
No, he's literally really smart.
Yeah, that's really smart.
And so then on just after 1 a.m. on September 1st, 1985, the Titanic was found.
Yes!
They saw a boiler, confirmed it was the Titanic.
Get on your feet. Woo! Get up and make it happen. We found the Titanic. Come on, get on your feet. Woo! Okay. Get up and make it happen. Give it for Robert Ballard.
It made headlines around the world.
Yes.
Yes. So the next day, they found the main part of the ship. They took the first pictures of the Titanic in 77 years. And
That's
everyone was crazy. They confirmed that the wreck split in half. The hull, the front, was mostly intact.
Imagine waking up
To the Titanic being found. It'd be my Atlantis. It's my Roman Empire. The Titanic is my Roman Empire.
I don't know what my Roman Empire is.
Probably
the Salem witch trials.
The Salem witch trials.
Yeah, I know too much about that.
That's awesome. Teach me your ways. So the stern was totally collapsed, and Robert Ballard is like,
They found
vow
out.
not to salvage anything from the wreck.
King.
Because
Love
he's
that.
like, this is a gravesite. We need to respect it.
Absolutely. Like, also, not everything has to be a fucking money-making
But then
thing.
guess what, Carly?
No.
The aftermath was people immediately salvaged stuff from the wreck.
Really?
So Congress passed the RMS Titanic.
Congress?
Yeah, Congress was involved. Which I'm like, I'm also like, I'm sorry. What am I saying it wrong?
You're just really hitting
Congress?
the Congress.
Congress. I'm Canadian. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Are you?
I can see meeple.
I haven't seen your birth certificate.
I actually,
And I haven't
me a
seen
long time to get it.
Obama's either.
Yeah.
Imagine that's the kind of person I am.
I need to see
Barack Hussein.
Obama.
Shut up.
The name and the man.
People, oh my God.
So
The
I'm
time
like,
period
what's Congress
like,
involved? We're living in an insane. Everyone has too much information and everyone's fighting too much.
Yeah, like fucking shut up. Get a hobby.
I know. Just go paintball each other or something. I don't know.
Why is Congress involved? It
This
doesn't
is
really
the
seem
thing.
like it's international waters.
That's what I'm saying. So it's Congress
Order.
passes the RMS Titanic Maritime Memorial Act of 1986. And that it's an act
is
to
that?
encourage
Yeah.
the international efforts to designate the shipwreck of the RMS Titanic as an international marine memorial and to provide for reasonable research, exploration, and, if appropriate, salvage activities with respect to the shipwreck.
That's a really, really vague
It's so vague.
law.
So,
It's a gravesite, and also we need to preserve it. But
Yeah.
also, if you want, you can have stuff.
yeah, like if it's reasonable, but like
It's like
what is
it's like this
reasonable?
is a great like you're the person who's working at the graveyard. It's like this is a grave,
yeah.
and I will preserve it. But
If I turn around,
and you find a nice watch,
then like
who's to say?
that's kind of reasonable.
Who's to say?
Because it was there. So in 1986, an American expedition goes down and they salvage 1,800 artifacts from the wreck.
Jesus.
And then a Canadian, Russian, American, insane expedition went down to film a documentary
No.
called Titanica, released in 1992 and narrated by Leonard Nimoy. And then between 1986 and
Was
1998,
Sorry, not to say. Did Leonard Nimoy have a cameo in SpongeBob?
probably. That sounds like something
Oh
he'd
no,
do.
you know what I'm thinking of?
William Shatner.
No. Do you remember the doodle? I think he goes, Mahoy me noy. That's how the doodle in SpongeBob talks. SpongeBob drops himself with a pencil that somebody dropped at the bottom of the
Yes.
ocean.
No,
and
I
it makes
know.
him real. And the doodle is evil and he goes, Mahoy me noy. So that's why
Yeah.
I thought Leonard Nimoy was in SpongeBob. Who is
Okay.
Leonard Nimoy?
It's from Star Trek.
Is he Spock?
Yeah.
Okay. He has a Hobbit. He has a Bilbo Baggins. He has
Yes.
like a single about
It's a
Bilbo.
banger.
But yeah.
Bilbo Baggins by Leonard Nimoy. It's a great song. Look it up. Look it up. So between 1986. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was just me. They bring up between 1986 and 1998, they bring up over 4,000 artifacts.
That's too many. I think we should probably just leave the gravesite, maybe.
And then the most controversial thing maybe that they brought up was they bring up a giant piece of the ship,
The hull?
Like the hull. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a huge side piece. It's called the big piece. And they try
Okay.
and
I feel like we
raise it
could've- I
out.
feel like-
Yes,
I
it's
feel
called
like
the big piece.
We could have workshopped that name a little bit more.
it's done. So, and then this is kind of gross
It's like
to
some
me.
intern was there and they
Yeah.
were like, we just pulled the big piece up. Make sure on the paperwork you fill it out. And then they write the big piece and then they file it and they go, oh wait,
no.
sorry, I didn't know we were filing it.
Yeah. I thought it was just a registration.
Yeah, I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
This is the big piece, by the way.
So they try and bring it up. They sell tickets to a cruise ship for $5,000. You can watch from your TV this thing being lifted up out of the ocean. They have like a Vegas style show. Burt Reynolds is there, Debbie Reynolds, Buzz Aldrin.
Debbie,
Like literally, and then
what are you doing?
as they're lifting this thing up, the weather of the ocean,
Yeah.
like the ropes snap and they drop the piece
Awesome.
back into the ocean.
That's the ghost, baby.
And it lodges itself back into the ocean. Isn't
Absolute.
that insane?
Absolute. Also, I've told the story on this podcast about when I met Buzz Aldrin.
Yes.
Okay, and he was really racist.
Which is insane too. But he was on this cruise, watched them drop a piece of the Titanic back into the ocean.
Good.
Insane.
Like that's a sign from the universe.
So the marine archaeologists, everyone was kind of mad. They're like, what the hell is this? Robert Ballard, our king, called the event a carnival
yes,
and stated
Get him.
he tried to put it to rest, but this perpetuates the tragedy. And
Get
then
him,
they
Robert.
successfully lifted the fragment out in 1998. The big piece was put in a laboratory for 2 years before being put on display at the Luxor Las Vegas Hotel and Casino.
that's really dark.
It's so dark.
That's what would happen
actually
if
so
they
dark.
found ET. That's what they would have done. They
Yeah,
would have put him
they'd
in a fucking
stuff him and put him in a casino.
a casino. You gotta put it at least in like the Smithsonian. Like you can't give it to the
No.
casino. What are you
But
doing?
they have money. They have money, Carly.
What are you
So it's
doing?
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
That's
so
really
ridiculous.
bad.
So then in 1995, Canadian director James Cameron chartered
Where's he from?
this.
Okay, no, you're click. No, you're click. This is what my family calls clicking. Where if you ask somebody a question and they take like it's like you see the ring go click, like just like thinking of something, getting ready to lie or say what they think it might be.
Oh yeah.
I think Rob's looking it up.
Kapuskasing, Ontario.
Oh,
Okay, so
Kapiskaping.
an Ontario boy.
Yeah, dry lips ought to move to Kapiskaping. I might be saying that wrong, but Rob's saying it wronger than me.
Dry lips.
The play. There's this play called Dry Lips ought to move to Kapiskaping.
You can't say that like that's a reference everybody
I thought
knows.
it was
It's
a
not.
reference.
That's not a universal reference.
Okay, sorry. I've read a lot of Indigenous plays. Okay.
Okay, well now I seem like a fucking
Yeah.
racist.
Sorry you haven't read as many Indigenous plays as I have.
I wanna go
Carly.
home.
It's because I've read every
I wanna go
Indigenous
home.
play. Anyway. they're all, so he films a bunch, whatever. He puts a lot of the footage into the Titanic, which is fun. So all that Titanic stuff is real. And then basically the rest is history. People keep going down. A couple of notable ones is 2001. A couple got married in a submersible parked on the bow of the ship.
No.
The groom had won a trip down in a submersible.
No.
Another one is
What if they died? What if you got crushed on your wedding day?
yeah.
Also, where do you win that? In a fucking cereal box?
It was like
what
it was
is
like
that?
it was to promote this like deep sea company or something. Like it's all just got crazy. So people just continue going down, whatever. They're filming different movies. They filmed Ghost of the Abyss, this other movie where James Cameron goes back to the Titanic. James Cameron goes to the Titanic a bunch, but he's kind of a good guy about it. There's a lot of debate whether or not it's like ethical to be bringing up artifacts from the gravesite. Robert Ballard, so the wreck site is now a UNESCO heritage site.
Good.
And Robert Ballard is proposing that they go down.
Is he still
and-
alive?
Oh yeah, he's still kicking. He's
Okay.
still hanging around. He wants to paint the wreck with special paint to stop it from decaying, which would be insane, but that would be cool because the Titanic also is actively decaying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because I do agree that like we shouldn't be taking it up from the ocean, but it does feel like we'll get to a point in time in which it goes away completely.
Well, when I was like, I think like even in this book, there's a point where they're like, 10 years from now, the Titanic will be gone. And this book is easily like,
Yeah, you're not 10, so
yeah, I'm no longer 10. But like, people have been saying that like it's going away and it's like, it's going to take a long time. But even now, like the Titanic is very, very deteriorated. You know, like it's been 111 years,
nice math.
which is crazy. Okay, time for the best part
of the entire
of the
podcast.
entire episode.
Are you ready, Blair?
Yes.
Okay. Let's make this tragedy about us. Okay, harmony.
I know. I'm in a harmonizing mood today.
I love
So
that.
my question for you, Carly.
Yes.
How would you propose to raise the Titanic? If you were said like
Okay.
you literally need to.
Yes. Okay, let me think about this. Because I think that, yeah, we need to for heritage and we need to put it in this. I think if you're going to do it, put it in the Smithsonian, put it in the Free Museum.
Yes.
I think that's kind of what you need to do. I don't have any ideas. My brain is melted.
Okay, I'll tell you my idea to get you thinking.
Yes, thank you.
So I have one real idea, which is I truly think that like if we are to the point where we're like the Titanic is going to be completely deteriorated in like 3 to 5 years, then like we should just salvage pieces of it to go into either museums or laboratories and stuff like that. You
just
know
get
what I
it
mean?
what you can get.
But I only want the scientists doing this. Like
Yes.
I don't want any commercial stuff, whatever.
I agree.
But the more important way that I think if we needed to, but honestly, I do think it's a gravesite and it should be left alone. That's
Yeah.
my like ultimate, you know, like my real answer. But my real answer is send our goddess Rachel Zegler down in a submersible. And
But
just-
it's safe. But it's a safe one this
It's a
time. It's a
safe
safe one this time.
submersible.
It's safer than the other ones.
or maybe even in like a bubble, and then she has powers.
Okay, invent a bubble.
Invent a bubble like the wicked or the good
yeah,
witch of the
Glinda,
north.
get her a Glinda bubble to scuba dive down.
Yes.
She's been trained, so she's not going to
And
get the bends.
she
Our
just-
queen,
she
Rachel
just
Zegler.
raises it. She like
Ah,
raises the Titanic like this.
Tonight. I do honestly feel like she's one of our best girls to get on it. We should get,
No.
if we send Rachel Zegler down to the Titanic, she
get
could
it.
raise it. She
raise
could.
it. It'd actually be like no problem for
Yeah,
her.
and people would be upset because it's tall poppy syndrome. They'd be like, she shouldn't actually have raised it. It's like,
Yeah.
bitch, that's what we asked.
It's we literally asked
Say
her
you're
and
jealous
she
and move
delivered.
on.
Say you're jealous. Say you don't want women to succeed. But I do think like it comes back to like if you put the girls in charge of the Titanic, we're gonna get it done.
Yes,
but
I agree.
also we could just, you know, if we have the technology, I now have a bunch of ideas. We don't even raise the Titanic. We could just go down to it, which is like, you know, you get like a bunch of like you know, plastic wrap into a big cylinder and just, you know, slam it down into the ocean and then vacuum all the water out. So then it's just like a dry part of the ocean.
Okay, what I'm thinking is you go down and you send Rachel Zegler. Is it Zegler or Zegler?
Zeg.
Okay, I want to make sure. I want to respect our queen. You
the
send
queen.
Rachel Zegler down
Yes.
with a big saw, and she saws kind of in the ground around the Titanic and cuts it up.
Yeah.
And then you attach that to the crane, and we just kind of lift the ground around the Titanic up with a crane.
Yes, that's a good
And
idea.
plop it down.
Yeah. I think because the Titanic has sunk so much of the Titanic. Like literally, I'm pointing, I'm doing a visual, but like the whole bottom part of the Titanic is in the sand, which is why.
So let's bring the sand to us.
Yeah, bring the sand to us. You really got to like carve it out. But apparently, if you go under the sand, there's like paint preserved. Isn't
Well,
that
that's really,
crazy?
really cool. It's like when you move a
insane?
couch and you're on
And you're
the
like, I
rug.
forgot it used to be this
You're
color.
like, the rug is so it's so
I'm
vibrant.
like, why is my apartment this dirty?
I know. I don't even want to think. There's the
Disgusting.
amount of dust in the city is gross.
Oh my God, it's crazy. I opened my window for 20 seconds.
I
and
know. I don't want to
it's
think
done.
about what's going on in my lungs. I
It's
really
done.
don't think. Whoa, these pictures are crazy.
No, this is crazy. So for visual viewers, everyone else, imagine what a picture of the Titanic underwater.
Okay,
would
so
look
kind of
like.
imagine a haunted looking ship with that's kind of green. If
It's
you're not
kinda
picturing it, then it's not going to
green.
work. Okay, there's kind of kelp on the.
There's like some robots, a big anchor.
There's robots.
Look at this. This is
I don't
the-
see the robots.
There's the robots that go down and take pictures. So then there's the Titanic deteriorating. This is maybe just content for the YouTube and not for the podcast.
Okay,
Look at the pictures.
I think this is really awesome. I agree. I think we got to get our best girl on it. Also, I'll say it. Email, like, if you're going to reshare the podcast, share hashtag Rachel
Rachel Zeg-
Zegler on Rachel Zegler. Fuck.
Rachel Zegler.
Hashtag Rachel Zegler on Truthtanic 2024.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because 2023, like,
She's got to be on season 2.
Well, that's exactly it. Because it's like, we're going to finish recording this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like November.
Okay.
And then,
yeah, that's
and then
so
we're taking December off.
Rachel Zegler on Truthtanic 2024. Please
we love
reshare.
you. It's not a joke.
It's not a
We
joke. We're
love
being
you.
so dead serious.
We love you so
Rachel
much.
Zegler.
Think of the good PR. You're
amazing.
basically make-a-wishing, except
You're make-a-wishing us and we're make-a-wishing you. We're make-a-wishing each other.
yeah, exactly. It's like when people, they go and you're doing charity work by coming onto this podcast.
And we're doing you charity work in the way that we're providing you with 2 amazing new friends.
And that's charity in its own way.
You can just call and text us.
And wouldn't you like more friends that are regular people?
women? You could link. We have amazing links to the Toronto comedy scene.
If you ever want to get into improv.
If you ever want to do stand-up, if you ever want to do sketch or character comedy.
And we know you've been fucking salivating at the bit to do character comedy.
Don't you want to play like a crazy frat boy who's lost his shoe?
Yeah. My God, no, you've got to keep that. That's a great character.
I know, it's a great
crazy
character.
frat boy who's lost his shoe.
Crazy frat boy who's lost his shoe. That's the only idea I'm giving
That's
up
all
right now.
Yeah, no, you got to email us at truthtanic@gmail.com.
If you want to talk.
Obviously, it's the 5 degrees of separation. I know somebody watching this
Someone
has
has a connection to Rachel Zegler.
We're going to do a telethon. And
Who is it? Rob knows 2 of the dancers in the new West Side Story, or has a friend who knows 2 of the dancers in the new West Side Story. I don't know. Rob, wait. You're not even trying to get Rachel Zegler on the podcast.
And Rachel Zegler, she was on Curtis Connor's podcast, and sometimes I see Curtis Connor biking in Toronto. And that's the same thing as, and isn't seeing someone biking around in Toronto the same thing as knowing someone?
I think so. It's basically the same. That's how many of my friendships have started, is I've seen someone and then later we're friends. So disprove
we
that.
Lost our minds. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
We love you so much.
Follow us on our Instagrams, which are in the description below. You can email us with any feedback, or if you have a connection,
if you have a link to Rachel Zegler
at it's truthtanic@gmail.com. We are Truthtanic on YouTube, and you can also listen to us wherever you get podcasts in the world.
Bye. Yeah.